Hello, friends. Today we're going to continue reading Charlotte's Web, Chapter 21, Last Day. Charlotte and Wilbur were alone. The families had gone to look for Fern. Templeton was asleep. Wilbur lay resting after the excitement and strain of the ceremony. His medal still hung from his neck. By looking out of the corner of his eye, he could still see it. "Charlotte," said Wilbur after a while, "why are you so quiet?" "I like to sit still," she said. "I've always been rather quiet." "Yes, but you seem specially so today. Do you feel all right?" "A little tired, perhaps, but I feel peaceful. Your success in the ring this morning was, to a small degree, my success. Your future is assured. You will live secure and safe, Wilbur. Nothing can harm you now. These autumn days will shorten and grow cold. The leaves will shake loose from the trees and fall. Christmas will come, then the snows of winter. You will live to enjoy the beauty of the frozen world, for you mean a great deal to Zuckerman, and he will not harm you ever. Winter will pass, the days will lengthen, the ice will melt in the pasture pond. The song sparrow will return and sing. The frogs will awake. The warm wind will blow again. All these sights and sounds and smells will be yours to enjoy, Wilbur. This lovely world, these precious days." Charlotte stopped. A moment later, a tear came to Wilbur's eye. "Oh, Charlotte," he said, "to think that when I first met you, I thought you were cruel and bloodthirsty." When he recovered from his emotion, he spoke again. "Why did you do all of this for me?" he asked. "I don't deserve it. I've never done anything for you." "You have been my friend," replied Charlotte. "That in itself is a tremendous thing. I wove my web for you because I like you." I was just waving to my friend, Miss Chisty. "After all, what's a life anyway? We're born, we live a little while, we die. A spider's life can't help being something of a mess with all this trapping and eating flies. By helping you, perhaps I was trying to lift up my life a trifle. Heaven knows anyone's life can stand a little of that." "Well," said Wilbur, "I'm no good at making speeches. I haven't got your gift for words. But you've saved me, Charlotte, and I would gladly give my life for you. I really would." "I'm sure you would, and I thank you for your generous sentiments." "Charlotte," said Wilbur, "we're all going home today. The fair is almost over. Won't it be wonderful to be back home in the barn cellar again with the sheep and the geese? Aren't you anxious to get home?" For a moment, Charlotte said nothing. Then she spoke in a voice so low Wilbur could hardly hear the words. "I will not be going back to the barn," she said. Wilbur leapt to his feet. "Not going back?" he cried. "Charlotte, what are you talking about?" "I'm done for," she replied. "In a day or two I'll be dead. I haven't even the strength to climb down into the crate. I doubt if I have enough silk in my spinnerets to lower me to the ground." Hearing this, Wilbur threw himself down in the agony of pain and sorrow. Great sobs racked his body. He heaved and grunted with desolation. "Charlotte," he moaned, "Charlotte, my true friend." "Come now, let's not make a scene," said the spider. "Be quiet, Wilbur. Stop thrashing about." "But I can't stand it," shouted Wilbur. "I won't leave to see you here alone to die. If you're going to stay here, I shall stay too." "Don't be ridiculous," said Charlotte. "You can't stay here. Lurvy and Zuckerman and the others will be back any minute now, and they'll shove you into that crate and away you'll go. Besides, it wouldn't make any sense for you to stay. There'd be no one here to feed you. The fairgrounds will be empty and deserted." Wilbur was in a panic. He raced around and around the pen. Suddenly he had an idea. He thought of the egg sack and the 514 little spiders that would hatch in the spring. If Charlotte herself was unable to go home to the barn, at least he might take her children. Wilbur rushed to the front of his pen. "Where's Templeton?" he demanded. "He's in that corner under the straw, asleep," said Charlotte. Wilbur rushed over, pushed his strong snout under the rat, and tossed him into the air. "Templeton!" screamed Wilbur. "Pay attention!" The rat, surprised out of a sound sleep, looked at first dazed, then disgusted. "What kind of monkey shine is this?" he growled. "Can't a rat catch a wink of sleep?" "Listen to me," said Wilbur. "Charlotte is ill. She has a short time to live. Therefore, I need to take her egg sack with me. I can't reach it, and I can't climb. You're the only one who can. Please, Templeton, climb up and get the egg sack." Then he looked at the egg sack. The rat yawned. "So," he said in disgust, "it's Templeton to the rescue, is it? Templeton do this, Templeton do that. Templeton run to the dump and get a magazine clipping. Templeton, please lend me a piece of string so I can spin a web." "Oh, hurry," said Wilbur. "Hurry up, Templeton." But the rat was in no hurry. He began imitating Wilbur. "So it's hurry up, Templeton, is it? Never a kind word for a rat." Templeton, said Wilbur in desperation, I will die of a broken heart if you don't stop talking and get busy. Please climb up. Templeton lay on the straw. He placed his forepaws behind his head and crossed his knees. Die of a broken heart? How touching, my. Who cares anything about me? Get up, screamed Wilbur. Stop acting like a spoiled child. Templeton grinned and lay still. Who made trip after trip to the dump? Templeton. Who saved Charlotte's life by scaring the arable boy away with a rotten goose egg? It was Templeton. Who bit your tail and got you back on your feet this morning? Old Templeton. Has it ever occurred to you I'm sick of running errands and doing favors? What do you think I am, anyway? A rat of all work? Wilbur was desperate. Templeton, I will make you a solemn promise. Get Charlotte's egg sack for me, and from now on, you may eat first when Lurvy slaps me. I will give you your choice of everything in the trough, and I won't touch a thing till you're done. The rat sat up, suddenly interested. You mean that? He said. I promise. I cross my heart. All right, it's a deal, said the rat. He walked to the wall and started to climb. His stomach was swollen from last night's gorge. There's Templeton. Groaning and complaining, he pulled himself toward the ceiling. He crept along till he reached the egg sack. Charlotte moved aside for him. She was dying, but she still had strength enough to move a little. Then Templeton bared his long, ugly teeth and began snipping the threads that fastened the sack to the ceiling. Wilbur watched from below. Use extreme care. I don't want a single one of those eggs harmed. This stick sticks to my mouth, complained the rat. It's worse than caramel candy. But Templeton worked away at the job, and Wilbur sighed some relief when he cut the sack adrift and carried it to where he dropped it in front of Wilbur. Thank you, Templeton. I will never forget this as long as I live. Neither will I, said the rat. I feel like I ate a spool of thread. Well, home we go. Templeton crept into the crate and buried himself in the straw. He got out of sight just in time. Lurvy and John Arable and Mr. Zuckerman came along at that moment, followed by Mrs. Arable, Mrs. Zuckerman, Avery, and Fern. Wilbur had already decided how he would carry the egg sack. He took it in his mouth and held it there on his tongue. He remembered what Charlotte had told him. The sack was waterproof and strong. It felt funny and made him drool a little bit, and of course he couldn't say anything. But as he was being shoved into the crate, he looked up at Charlotte and gave her a wink. She knew he was saying goodbye in the only way he could, and she knew her children were safe. Goodbye, she whispered. Then she summoned all her strength and waved one of her front legs at him. She never moved again. The next day, as the Ferris wheel was being taken apart and the racehorses were being loaded and the entertainers were packing their belongings and driving away in the trailers, Charlotte died. The fairgrounds were soon deserted. The sheds and buildings were empty and forlorn. The infield was littered with bottles and trash. Nobody of the hundreds of people that visited the fair knew that a gray spider had played the most important part of it all. And no one was with her when she died. That chapter always makes me sad. But don't worry, there is one more chapter, which we will read tomorrow. Take care, guys.